Straw Hut Media.
Welcome to Ask Me Anything, a beacon of spiritual exploration hosted by celebrated mediums Kelly White and James Van Praagh. From the mysteries of astrological aspects to the depths of personal growth, no topic is off limits. Your questions light the path as we navigate the intricacies of our spiritual existence together. So, are you ready to delve deeper?
Hi, everybody. I am spiritual medium and psychotherapist Kelly White, and welcome to Ask Me Anything. And I have an incredible guest on tonight, which is Prajna Avalon, and I'm really excited to have her on. And I'm also going to do the astrology. But even before I do that, I'm curious. Is anybody watching The Golden Bachelor except for me? I love it. I love this show. I really love the show. I'm trying to get everybody to watch this show. I love it. Anyway, we should probably get into the astrology of things because these are some, how do we say it? Some deep times here, right? These are some deep times. This is going to be quite a month. I mean, you've heard me say, put your seatbelt on. I'm going to say, pack a lot of prayers and compassion for the world and for you and loving kindness. I think this is going to be really important this month. Because this is what we would call a stormy month. This is astrologically a very stormy month. You're going to need to find things in your life that you have gratitude about. How about your gratitude, having gratitude, to be honest, to be on earth at this time. It really is, even though it's a humdinger time, we wanted to be here for this, to see all the things that are going on. Because with every single event, we have an opportunity to make a choice of how we're going to respond. And that's huge for our souls, actually, huge. So you have to kind of wonder about the universe, how amazing this time period is. So having said that, let's start with tomorrow, Saturn, the planet of the Lord of Karma. Saturn is work and health and intensity. And Saturn goes direct. It finally transitions direct, and it's in Aquarius in Vedic astrology. And this begins tomorrow. It's been at a standstill, so the energy has been very wobbly. Now, the energy will continue to wobble for the next several days. But because it's moving direct, for people that have asked me about a job and getting a job, and what I had said over the last week was Saturday, which was the last eclipse was October 28th. And what I said is on that day, it's not a good day to start a job on that day. However, going forward with Saturn going direct, and at the same time, Jupiter, the largest planet, is so close to Earth, and it makes a big life shift in all of our lives. This is a very helpful time if you are thinking about doing something new, finding a career, doing something, moving forward. The energy now going forward with Saturn and with Jupiter shining all this energy on it, it's an excellent time. So I know that people had asked me specifically, I had a question which was kind of sweet. It was from Addie, and she wanted to know, she said, I know you said not to start on an eclipse, which I did. And she said that her life's been very chaotic and toxic. And she said she really wants to make a change. This is a great time, Addie, to make a change. Excellent time to make a change. For anybody out there, great time to make a change. So that was the first thing, is Saturn's going direct. Okay, that's a big deal because it's been in retrograde for months and months. It's still going to feel wobbly, okay? For the next several days, it's going to feel wobbly. The next thing I wanted to talk about is Mercury, the fastest moving planet and the planet of communications, squares with Saturn. Squaring off is a very intense time. So I want everybody to watch their thoughts, okay? Because it could provoke or activate pessimism or depressive thoughts, okay? So you kind of want to watch that too. Also, Mercury is going to go through that Gandanta point, and that's that really sensitive edge between a water and a fire sign, and that could literally trigger storms or troubling world events. So that's a very powerful time. So the next thing I want to talk about is this new moon in Libra, and we could have a big crisis on that day, because according to Vedic astrology, the new moon in Libra, it's a new moon in Libra, and that's one of the darker days of the year. And a new moon in Libra always feels kind of empty. It feels like it's intense. It's just intense. This is a very intense time. But that new moon, it sits between Venus and Mercury, and it's conjunct Mars, opposing Uranus. That's a lot to say, but what this means is it causes a yod, and a yod is, they call it the finger of God, and that's when 3 planets form a triangle. And when this happens, this could have some unexpected and sudden change because of this Uranus with this. So that day also is very challenging, okay? Because also Mars goes into Scorpio, but Mars is conjunct the sun, and that's a really hard aspect, and that could bring all kinds of problems as well in the world. So what I'm really saying is a very challenging time. And I'm going to have all this on my website. I just haven't had a chance because I was traveling. I just haven't had a chance to write it all down, but I will. But the last thing I want to say is at the end of the month, the nodal axis changes. And what does that mean? The nodal axis in Vedic astrology is Rahu and Ketu. And it is going from Aries and Libra to Pisces and Virgo. And what's important about that is Rahu and Ketu, they determine our destiny. And so every 18 and a half years, they change these signs. So if we look back at our history from about March of 2005 till October of 2006, that was the last time that Rahu was in Pisces and Ketu was in Virgo. So that's March 25th, actually, 2005. To October 13th of 2006. So if you look back at your life and your history, you might wonder what went on during that time. Now, interesting for me, I can tell you that Don and I moved in together. And now, all this time later, at this exact time period, we're remodeling our house. So I thought that was kind of a good one here for me. But if I look back at the time before that, which was August of 1986 to March of 1988, if you look at your life then, I remember I had gone through a pretty rough divorce. So these are things that you can look at your own life to determine, possibly what goes on going forward with you when these nodal axes change, because they're the ones that determine our destiny. And I'll be talking a lot more about this. But so we've got a lot going on. So now that I hope I've not ruined everybody's lives right now, it's just a very intense time. But what it does is it brings us up to, make sure that we're kind and compassionate and nice and to everybody, because everybody's got a situation. Believe me, everybody has a situation out there. And I've been privileged to get to know a lot of people and to listen to their situations. And life's not easy. Life on earth is not easy, and this is not an easy time. But what we do have right now is an incredible guest, and she's one of my favorite people in the world. And I'd like to welcome an incredible healer and my dear friend, Prajna Avalon. Hi, Prajna.
Hi, everybody. Again, to all those that I'm seeing again, hello.
So fun to have you back. So many people were so happy that I was having you on today. I got so many nice messages.
Oh, that's so nice. I was so excited. I couldn't wait.
I'm so excited that you're on tonight too, because we have a lot of questions that people have answered and are asked, and this is going to be so fun. But let's talk about today. Is a very important day. How would you describe today for All Souls Day?
So it's interesting because All Souls Day is a very Christian celebration, right?
Yeah.
I grew up Christian. I never grew up Catholic, but I grew up. So it wasn't like a big part of my life because it's a very more Catholic thing. But Brazil, and that's where I've been living in the past almost 3 years. I can't believe it.
I cannot believe it's gone that
far. Oh my God. In 3
Amazing.
weeks, it's going to be 3 years.
Wow. I remember when you moved.
Exactly. So It's huge here because Brazil is 80% Catholic. So it's a national holiday. It's everything closes, like nobody works. It's really a big thing. And people really take it seriously. People go to the cemeteries because it's the celebration of those who have passed on, right? The people that have gone from the material world to the spirit world. And people take it seriously here. Like they go and they bring flowers to the cemeteries. I mean, I grew up, believing in reincarnation in life after death and all of that. So I always thought, well, why do I go to the cemetery? Do I have to bring my family there? Can I get them some flowers and have them come to my house instead of going to the cemetery?
It's funny.
I thought about it like that as a kid. I remember thinking that, but it's really. Here, I have two thoughts about this. It's like a really special day where we do kind of stop and honor those people that have passed and people that have, everybody that has come through our lives made a difference. It could have been a positive difference. It could have been a challenging lesson-like difference, but everybody had an impact. So it's an important day for remembrance. I tried doing that today, even though it's not a huge part of my tradition, but I tried doing that. But then, Kelly, it got me thinking, well, why am I not honoring the people that are alive? Like, we didn't talk about this, but that was in my mind the whole day. I was like,
oh, I love that.
Right. Like, why? And I've been looking at somebody like famous that passed this week. And I've been like reading all these wonderful things about him, Matthew Perry from Friends, and I'm like, well, why didn't they say good things when he was alive? And I was thinking the same way in my life, like, oh, what? Like, who should I be saying good things to? Like, so it's really been a day of reflection for me in that way. Like, how am I ending my day today? Like, we're incarnated souls. So All Souls Day, could we just be cherishing everybody?
I think that's a beautiful idea. I do.
Yeah, I know it's like a curveball here, but
no, I think it's beautiful. And I was thinking that today the veil is so thin. I was doing therapy sessions, and I do therapy and I do mediumship. I do all, but I had two people that are strictly therapy, and at the end, it was the wildest thing. This woman who was on the other side just came right through, and if you could have seen the look on my client's face. And I said, oh, your aunt so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. And she just, I said, oh, my God, I am so sorry. She burst into tears. I said, I couldn't help myself. And I felt like the veil was so thin,
Yes.
But she said the interesting thing to me. She said, Kelly, I've been thinking about her all day. And she said, I wanted to honor her, and I wanted to honor my mom and all this. And her mother's alive. And I thought it's kind of what you're saying about honoring all souls, I love that, Prajna. You've always been one of those very kind souls in general, like just kind in general. And you would always go to the bat to help somebody, whether they were passed away or here, it really wouldn't matter. You just are that way.
Thank you. I really believe in that. There's even been times when I was working with certain clients that my advisor teachers in Brazil, so to speak, would say, that's too difficult of a case. Give it to a group to work with. And I would be like, well, but this person came to me. They trust me. I'm not giving up on them. And I truly believe in, like, I'll go to battle for anybody that I can help and support. It's truly I remember when I was in India, or these two friends, we were talking and they were both saying, oh, I want to finish everything this lifetime because I don't want to incarnate anymore. And I've heard a lot of people say that, and I remember saying, well, like, how can I just leave and not come back when so many?
Well, that's what I remember. You always said that to me. You said, "Oh no, I'm going to help the very last one," and I'm like, "Okay, goodbye.
I'm out of here. I know.
Goodbye." Back doors. I know,
and that's okay. I mean, you better be helping me from up there, but.
I'll be like, I'm done. Skidoo.
I know, and I'll be like, well, I guess I'm going back.
You would. there are other galaxies here.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be flying like on spaceships and enjoying
I'll
like
be
planets
outgoing.
that are
All right.
living in love, and I'll be like, all right,
Yes.
here we go into the trenches again.
And I'll say, here she goes again, everybody. Check this one out. Oh my gosh. Here's an interesting question. And this is a good question to answer. She says, this is from Terry Kamali. She says, hi, Kelly and Prajna. Now, this is very interesting. She said, my car was broken into last night and they peeled the column. They couldn't steal it, but it will cost a fortune to fix it. How do you get over that feeling of revenge? And she's a senior on a limited budget.
Great question. I get the feeling of revenge. I get the anger. I get all of that. I mean, here's my just like earthly and trying to be conscious advice. Feel it. Feel the anger. Feel whatever you must feel, because you're human. You got to process through it. Otherwise, energetically, it's going to stay imprinted in your energy field, and it's going to cause you problems later. So feel the whole thing as much as you need to feel. But here's a tip, and this is what we used to do at the Barbara Brennan School.
Okay. Which is where not only you graduated, but you were a professor there.
I was. It was just fantastic. And I remember there was this one time we were working with family, and I was working with my parents, and I had a very challenging childhood in many different ways. And they were like, okay, you got to express your anger towards your parents. And I was like, I can't send that energy out there. Like, I don't want to send this energy. And they're like, no, it's not going out there. There's like, you create a force field around you. So the anger doesn't go towards anybody, but it's important that you express it. We can't swallow it. Do you know what I mean? Like the difference. Right. So I would say, Terry, imagine like a force field around you. Say whatever you need to say, feel whatever you need to feel. And then you let go, because we are under God, under the universe, under cause and effect. This person is going to live according to their choice at some point, and it's not up to us. It shouldn't be up to us, because if we do something, well, then we're gonna answer to that cause and effect at some point.
That's very true. So that person, what you're saying, just cooked his own goose, basically.
Absolutely,
by doing
that. He did. It's gonna come.
He did harm to himself.
He did harm to himself. That, Kelly, that's brilliant. When we do harm to others, we really do harm to ourselves way more. It could be in this lifetime. It could be in another lifetime. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're all dealing with that karma from other lifetimes. We all have difficulties or diseases or accidents, or none of this is by mistake. We're all, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I just acquired some karma, because, we're in movement. But I'd say if we can help, let's not create it anymore for ourselves, and let's just let each person's karma play along.
And that's really good advice for Terry. Thank you. I appreciate that. Now I have another question, and this one is and I love this question. And Prajna, I'm going to direct this question to you. And this is from Carrie East. So hi, Carrie. Okay. She said, while watching the film After Death, so I don't know if I have not seen it yet. It's called After Death. Have you heard of it?
I haven't either.
We'll have to see this. She says, while watching the film After Death last week, she said there was a segment that I completely blocked unconsciously, and I have no memory or even sensory reverence of this one section of the movie. She said, I wasn't even aware that I had missed anything until my husband Rick and I were talking about the movie afterward, and he asked what I thought about this certain segment. She said, I looked at him like he was crazy, and I said, what are you talking about? There was nothing like that in the film. She said, I had completely blacked it out. And his response was, I looked over at you while it was happening, and you were awake and focused on the screen. You watched it. Now, I know both of these people, and I'm sure that Rick watched her do this. She said, I'm dumbfounded. She said, he gave me the details, which she's going to keep vague to not ruin the movie. She said, but it was a very unpleasant scene. And she said, so here's the question. Did my soul decide to leave my body to protect me? Or did I somehow get triggered into a trauma amnesia? This has never happened before, and I have seen some pretty horrific things over the course of my life. She said, I've never had a blackout. I don't do drugs. I simply can't account for this hole in my memory. And I remember everything leading up to this odd segment. And she said, it's really bizarre and discomforting. I have no
Mhm.
idea. I mean, it must have been, to me, it was a trauma response, but.
That's what it feels like to me too, Kelly. I'm like trying to feel energetically as you're reading me her story. I'm trying to feel into it. It doesn't feel like, it doesn't feel like you left her body. It feels like a trauma response, like something triggered there that it was so painful that then there was this blocking out of the experience. And there could have been like a momentary just blacking out, really, and then coming back when it felt safe again. That's what it feels like to me energetically.
Oh,
That's what
yeah,
I'm
when it
touching.
felt safe again.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That is something, Carrie. I mean,
It's
wow.
something, and it's a really wonderful invitation for healing, for really looking into that, because if
Ah.
it's something that deep, I'll tell you this one experience that it just came to my mind. I was still in healing school, so this is like 25 years ago, and I was practicing with this woman. She was a much older woman. I was like in my early 20s. She was probably in her 50s at that point. And she had been part of Europe, and she had suffered a lot of terror there, including with her family and everything. And I had my hands in her energy field, and I touched at one point in this one place. I actually fainted. I wasn't completely unconscious, but I fell to the floor.
Wow.
So something there triggered something in me, and I was like fully aligned as a healer at that point. So, I was younger, I was learning it, but I actually completely disconnected. And then I looked at it a lot afterwards. But when we touch into something that really triggers us, it really just kind of unleashes a lot of memories, energetic, and then energetic goes into emotional goes into cellular, and that's what it feels like, what happens to me.
So then let me ask you this. Could it be from this life, or could it have even been from a different life?
Totally could have been from a different life. It most likely is from a different life. To be this deep, it most likely is from a different life.
Where she's actually watching it, but she's already left her body.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. It just kind of dissociates for a moment, because whenever we're watching something, the energy of that is coming towards us. So, and then when the energy shifted again, we perceive it. So she perceived the energy shifting to being safe and came back like nothing ever happened.
Wow. I know, Carrie, this has got to be an amazing story to talk about here with Prajna, because that is an amazing what you just said. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
wow.
It is amazing. It's very
That's
deep
amazing.
and just truly like a part that is really needing to be touched and healed, because it's that scared.
Well, it's interesting that the way the world is shaking up right now, I think it will shake us up who have been holding on to traumas. It will shake us up to heal, actually. The different parts of the world where you might think, why did this happen? And the next thing you know, you're shook up. And it could bring a lot of healing, actually. So here's from Mimi Nee. She says, this is a great question to you. How are your crystal floors?
Oh, well, they're amazing.
Tell everybody about them that didn't watch you on the last show, because you'd made these floors.
That was such a fun show. I was just like, it felt like I was like on, I don't know, like a massive miles an hour speaking. So I got this apartment. I was remodeling the entire apartment. So I took all the flooring off, and I decided to put energy crystal grids in every room. So I put, like, for example, black tourmaline around all of the rooms for protection, because black tourmaline keeps psychic energy and spiritual energy and negative energy out. So it's around the whole apartment. And then I sat in each room with a notebook and a pencil, and I channeled all these mandalas and energy grids. And I bought I forget
thousands
how many.
Of crystals. Thousands.
and thousands of crystals.
Is it helping you with all your energy?
Well, here's the thing that I can't believe I'm saying this out loud, live to the world. But here's the thing that now is going to keep me in check. So crystals magnify everything, positive and negative.
Oh, so you really have to keep your vibration or your everything positive. Your thoughts would have to be.
Yes, exactly. Because they really magnify everything. I mean, it's a super. You come into the apartment and it's like you're like I don't even know where. You're like in a like heavenly spa. It's really, really something.
Oh, I love that kind of energy.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's really something beautiful. Really
You
something
know, you've
beautiful.
given me some ideas. So, Don, I know you're listening. I'm going to give Chris, our builder, some crystals
Sorry, Dawn.
to put all around because we're in the middle of a remodel. And
Yeah,
we're
we
going to have
should
secret
channel.
crystals
We should
everywhere.
talk and channel
Good.
and crystals and all of that. We should do that.
That would be perfect. So Vicky Nason, hi Vicky. She said my mother passed away today on All Souls Day in 2010. Wow. My mother was Irish Catholic, and this day meant a lot to her. It was very meaningful and appropriate that her mom passed on this day. She says, "Love you, Mom." Isn't that amazing?
Yes, that is
I mean,
amazing.
especially if that had been your belief system. I mean, it would be amazing that you would pass on that day. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing that, Vicky.
and I would think that this woman probably had a lot of merits in the spirit world that she
Oh
passed
my
on a
God,
day
you're right.
right?
Okay, explain what you just said, the merits in a spirit world. I love this. Like brownie
So
points?
brownie points, that's literally what it is. Amma, my guru in English, she calls it a credit card. You know, we're
Oh,
like
okay.
we can either be in debt or we can have credit.
Okay, this is fabulous.
It is, you know, so this person probably did so much good in her life. She probably did a lot more good than negative, that she actually got to pass on a day that was positive and meant a lot to her.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to remember that you said that. That's a good one. So, Vicky, that's
Yeah,
a wonderful one there.
it's a
And this is from Julie Musterman. She says it's pretty cool that John Lennon's last Beatles song was released on All Souls Day. Definitely thinking of John and George Harrison today. Did you hear about that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
they actually had a song that was released today, and it was partly made with AI, and that's all I know. But it was a pretty
Wow.
special day to have that, you know.
Interesting. I'll have to look it up too.
Yeah, I love that. I think that is. Okay, so Valerie Smothers, she says, with the veil being so thin, and it is really thin right now,
Super
can
thin.
that make sensitives and empaths ill? Okay, Valerie, you just answered a question for me, or you just asked a question for me because I woke up with a sore throat and I'm like, I never have a sore throat. Like, tell me it's not COVID. It's not COVID. It's just I had a sore throat and I thought, what is that about? So thank you for actually saying that. What do you think,
For
Prajna?
sure, yeah. I've felt this, throughout the eclipse because that was like a very, turbulent time too.
Yeah.
And then, there's Halloween and then All Saints Day and then All Souls Day. It's a very intense time. I've had a cough for like 10 days. I've felt weaker. I've had to keep my energy more up. I've had to really watch myself. It's been harder to keep myself balanced, much harder. I mean, we sensitives get really bombarded with everything. And the days where the veil is really thin, we got to think of this. The veil is thin. On the other side, it's not only angels and people in the light and, riding on clouds. We die here, we go to the other side and we're the same. And then we have more awareness and we can grow faster and going to the light faster and all of that. But a lot of people don't choose that. So when the veil is thin, we're getting all of the love from our loved ones and the saints and the angels and all of that. And a lot of, other beings that are still unfortunately kind of walking around and a little bit lost. So it's a lot of influence,
That's very interesting that you said that. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Cindy Fairman says, I honor both you and Kelly for the powerful women you are. How sweet. Thank you. I appreciate that. Ellie says, hi, Kelly. Just tuned in. Great. My destiny again to be defined. Better get it right this time. I hope you enjoyed your time in Texas trick-or-treating. I did. I had way too much fun. Probably hence the sore throat. But okay, Darlene Turner says, I was thinking the same thing this week about celebrating people who are still here on Earth instead of waiting until they are gone to say so many great things about them. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah, it's a great thing. And I have to say, so here I've been thinking a lot lately. So you're gonna get all my like very
Good,
thoughtful
good.
philosophical things. How many people here, how many of us here really get to somebody and go to somebody and say a lot of compliments about them? And if we do, how do they receive it? Because, and I've been questioning this because I've always been somebody that has been very open about my words and, right, Kelly, like
Yeah.
expressions and
Yeah.
gratitude and beauty and all of that. And a lot of times people don't even know how to take that in. They get
That's true.
scared. They think I want something from them. Or so this would be a great practice to invite all of us that are listening to here today, learn how to appreciate the people, try to voice it. And if we are voiced, how do we receive it? Do we take it in? Can we, wouldn't it be amazing if we all practice this in this world in general?
Absolutely. I mean, because as Renee, our producer, we were talking before we went on, and he was saying that, the world has a lot of negative things going on right now. It just does. But you have to remember, we are actually, our souls are pure bliss, right?
Yes,
We are actually
exactly.
pure bliss.
Exactly.
And on earth, it's duality. We're going to get distracted. We're going to do this. But ultimately, you have to have that consciousness shift where you remember who you are as a soul.
Yes.
And everything else, try to remember the good things. Try to remember having gratitude. Gratitude changes your energy field like that.
Yes, exactly. That's, it's a really, perfect thing that Renee brought up. I mean, we are essence, and in our essence, there's no distortion, there's no illness, there's no nothing. It's perfect, and the world is living in such duality right now. It's a world of war right now. It's a world that could be more of war even, because there's so much going on. So I was just saying that earlier because I've been feeling the duality myself. I've been feeling the duality in the world around me. One point earlier I said, I really want to go back to my heart. We got to see from the heart and not from the mind. Even though the heart and the mind, they must connect. We're thinking too much. And then we judge too much, and we gotta come back here and feel. And if we stand in front of one another, Kelly, like if we stand in front of each other and we look into each other's eyes, we can see the essence, regardless of what's happening.
Oh yes.
And then we can feel the heart. So we must see with the heart more and more and more and more. Even when there's an argument, we gotta stop and see the heart, so that we can get in touch with the essence that you just talked about and Renee brought up.
Yeah, that pure bliss. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Renee Hounsel. Hi, Renee. She says, Prajna, do they celebrate with decorations and festivities in Brazil like they do in Mexico for the Day of the Dead?
No, not like that. Here is more people just really go to the cemeteries and just bring flowers and clean here it's like big tombstones, like Mexico. So they're like big cemented things. So they clean everything and they bring pictures and they bring flowers. But Day of the Dead in Mexico is like a whole other
it's unbelievable
thing.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
I wish they did that here.
That's so funny. So here's a good question. This is from Angela Sophia. Hi, Angela. She says, what do you both think about donating our organs and bodies when we pass away? So that's really a question for you. What do you think, Prajna?
Well,
as a healer.
So I'll say different things about this. Okay. And please, everybody, just feel into your hearts and make your own decisions about this. I think it's the most noble thing to do because we're dead. We're not going to use it anymore. And, if we can help somebody else live, somebody else see, somebody else's heartbeat, somebody else's skin be renewed, I think that is the most wonderful, wonderful thing. What I would like to see the world evolving towards is when they're taking the organs, energetically disconnecting the organs from the person's body that is being taken from, and then energetically connecting to the new person's body, the person that's going to be using this. Because, for example, when I work with clients in surgeries, when we're removing organs, that organ has an essence. So if we just remove organs, that's why people have how do they call it? Like ghost legs or like phantom legs, phantom limbs.
Yes, yeah, phantom limbs. Yes.
Or they, there's a lot of feelings. It's because the essence of that leg went. So, when we remove it, I worked a lot with mastectomy because I've worked a lot with cancer. You got to take the good, positive essence of that body part and put it back into the person's energy field. That way, that body part can either be discarded or it can be used to somebody else. And then that person's essence is going to go into that body part and it's going to fully be accepted.
Wow.
So this is like medicine of the future, because what happens now is a bit traumatizing for both people that are donating. Their energies do get chopped up a little bit, and then they have to work it out on the spiritual level, which they do because of hospitals and nurses and everything, and then the person that receives, it has a time of receiving and transition. So I would say yes, but I would love to see the world progress to this a little bit more.
Yeah, I would too. Thank you for answering that. So, hi, Marcy Barkin. She says, thank you for the sensitivity issue reminder. A few days ago, I felt discouraged and overwhelmed for apparently no reason. She said, so great to see you. Love you, Marcy. So Judy Riley says, why do I feel so unworthy?
Wow, that's a deep question. Usually that's if I were working with you as a client, so we would probably start looking at your earlier life. So if you feel unworthy, somebody showed you and taught you that you were unworthy or unlovable. It's not from you, it's not from your mind. So it's a deep wound. Sometimes it comes from other lifetimes, and we kind of say, and
right? Some souls actually come in to work on self-love, self-worth. And that's what it sounds like, it's self-worth.
Exactly.
And listen, we all have something we have to work on, and that's self-worth. Okay, you can do it. So Christian R says, hi, Kelly and Prajna. I cannot ever thank you enough for your help with Nora's surgery last February. Prajna, you are a gift. God bless you both. Oh, that's wonderful, Prajna. Nora. It sounds like you did some incredible work.
Good. I'm glad to hear. It's such a sweet, it was, it just like opens my heart. Just remember her energy as a little baby.
Oh, that's so important. Patricia Neely says it's very important to stay grounded, especially during this time. It's very important. And meditation is vitally important now. Tell me something, Prajna. How is your meditation these days? Are you meditating daily? Tell me what your practice is for meditation.
Yeah, so meditation for me, like this sit down meditation for me has never been a win. It's never worked really well. So, excuse me, for me, walking is a good meditation. Walking in nature. So for me, I need to have movements. My body needs to have movement. So walking, swimming, or biking, or being in nature, tracking, trails, like that really works for me. Like I really need to be in motion, and then I get into the zone. If I just sit, it's never been for me. And I've tried. I mean, I lived in India for years, so I tried it.
Yeah, you did. Well, you're right. Some souls actually, they just have to keep moving.
You keep moving, and it's important for each person to find their own, because if we just go with that one template of meditation, you're going to sit here, you're going to focus on this, or you're going to focus on this word, or you're going to be silent. Not one healer is for everybody. Not one psychologist is for everybody. Not one, right? Not one style of movies is for everybody. Not one style of meditation is for everybody. So we got to focus. But I do try. So I have... we have mantras from India, from Amma, and there's an app these days. There's an app on the phone with the entire meditation, and I usually I've been playing it every morning. I've been playing it while I do my thing. So it's super important to do one way or another. However,
that's a great idea. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Jody Jenkins says, "How can I stop feeling intruded by my extreme observational self-awareness?" So I think that means extreme thoughts, or feelings that you're of your own, I don't know, doing here.
Okay, so my first incline on this. So there's something called the super ego. Have you worked with this, Kelly? The super ego, right?
The ego and the superego.
Exactly. Is the parental voice. So whenever we're hyper aware or hyper focused or hyper analyzing, there's a bit of the superego there.
That comes from Freud.
It comes from Freud. I didn't even know that, but it does. So usually there were parental voices or teacher voices that really demanded a lot from this person, and it created a demand that they be always self-aware, always perfect, always this and always that. So it's really a need for healing. We come back to being enough and being worthy and being enough and being able to relax.
And that would be a great one for meditation to actually, even if it was a guided meditation or any type of meditation, could have really helped soothe that extreme. That's a very good idea for that, actually.
That really is, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So people are saying, Kelly, lovely pennant you are wearing. Oh, thanks, Ellie. I appreciate it. This is from my friend Ranger Rick. And I just love it. Thank you. Okay, Renee Hounsel says, I hope there may be another Atlantis and Lemuria seminar about using our crystals, bringing out the programming of them and how to connect with them. Those classes that we did, she says, impacted my soul. Thank you, Renee. We'll have to, we did talk about doing that.
We did.
Have to come up with some dates.
Yeah, we will. Next year we will. That was the plan, right? To have like a reunion or a continuation every so often, because it was so powerful. So that was
it was really powerful. It was such a good one. Oh my gosh.
It was.
Vicky says, I really love tonight's show. Please have Prajna back, Kelly. You two are fabulous together. Oh, thanks. I definitely will, Vicky. Definitely I will. Let's see. Okay, Charmaine says, my mom has severe liver failure. It's been such a sad relationship. She saw her brother and said he wanted to make sure she was okay. I feel like he was coming to get her. She's in pain, and I know in my heart she's leaving me, right? I'm not sure, Charmaine. I mean, you're talking about, she said she saw her brother, who had passed. It could be. I mean, severe liver failure. And the thing that I have noticed, Prajna, is that during this period of time, it seems that more people tend to leave the exit planet. It seems to me, I've always felt that way around November.
That's interesting to say that. I hadn't noticed it about November before, but that was one of the things I was thinking about today. That was one of the things that came to my mind. Am I feeling that a lot of people will be leaving? November to the end of the year, it's feel like there's a lot of completion, a lot of clearing karma, and a lot of completion. There's it's just like sweeping, there's like a lot of powerful things. So it could be. So if it is your mom that's leaving, then just really, think about all the feelings you want to share with her, all the ways you want to be with her. Just use that as an opportunity for
whatever. I was going to say, and if there's any forgiveness or if there's anything like that, I mean, forgiveness goes huge. For whatever. I think it would be, it's an important one. I do think that. Betty Moore Scott. Hi, Betty. She says, hi, Kelly and Prajna. I had a session with Prajna some years ago, and it was fabulous. You guys, I have to say, if you need a healing session, Prajna's your gal. She's incredible. I will always remember my daughter was sleeping in the other room during the session. Apparently, she ran out of her room saying, my body is tingling all over. What happened?
I remember that now. That's true. My gosh, I can't believe it was years ago already.
Isn't that something?
I remember that. Yes.
It's just something how healing works. And so tell us what a session with you is like. So, because I've had several and they're fantastic. I mean, you do everything on WhatsApp, on the phone.
Yeah, we do everything on WhatsApp by voice. I prefer doing by voice because I feel like it's less distracting than doing by video. At least it's works deeper like that. But we usually come on the phone and we talk a little bit so that we can start connecting the energy. So I can start feeling the energy of the person. And then I usually ask for an intention or for the person to tell me a little bit about themselves or why they're there. Some people know exactly why they're there. Some people are just there. And as we talk about the reasons why we're in the session, it stirs up those energies. So the healing starts kind of becoming alive. That's why it's kind of important to talk about it in the beginning. And then there is usually a point where we're like, okay, feels like we've completed this. And then we go into a silent part because, again, the same thing that I was talking earlier, turn off the mind. The mind should be a servant, not a guide, right? So we put our phones down. I actually step away from the electricity of the phone a little bit, the electromagnetic waves. And I just really go into channeling of the healing. And that's when the guides come in and the higher self of the person comes in, and a lot of things happen. And the person is usually lying down or sitting or even walking around if they need. And I mean, it's incredible. Today I had a client that she described what she felt was exactly what I was doing in the healing. So
isn't that amazing?
It's unbelievable. It's incredible. And then I usually leave 10 minutes or so to talk about the ending, see how the person felt and what I noticed, and any suggestions or any guidance or anything like that. So that's like the baseline of the session. Some people we talk more, some people they call or they just send a message and say, just go into the healing, whatever the guides want to do, because I trust them. People that are more like, regulars. But
so do you work with your guides? Do you work with our guides? How does that work?
I usually work directly with my guides because of the energy frequency, alignments. But your guides connect with my guides, and then I work through them. Because it's hard. If I'm to work with everybody else's guides, the energies are so.
You're right. It would be too scattered. It would be
way too scattered. Exactly. But I receive the guidance from the guides, and sometimes at the end comes guidance from the person's guides, or usually the person's guides. But everybody is involved, and I always think that we come to the healing with an intention, but it's so much deeper than what we can understand, because we're working here with this limited knowledge of the energy fields that we have, but we are so much more than this. So I always feel like healing happens on so many more levels. Somebody comes to work on a life path, we end up working on family and this and that. Somebody comes to work on a physical issue, we end up touching on other things, because everything is connected. So it's really, and some people come because they just want to keep growing and keep cleansing themselves. They don't even have an issue, and they just want to keep opening the way and being clear enough for their life to keep unfolding freely. So
Karen asks, is it like psychic surgery?
I don't know what, because words can be so different and depending on where they're coming from. I don't know what psychic surgery is that she means.
Well, in Brazil where they do the psychic surgery, I would think those places.
Yes.
The ones where maybe that's what she's meaning.
Okay, yeah. So no, I will never be like cutting the body or putting things. I actually don't see anybody in person I haven't seen anybody in person for I don't know, 10 years at least. Right. But if somebody comes with a physical issue, we do go into the specific levels of the energy field that deal with the physical body, and we do surgery. I mean, Kelly, one time I was actually working on a friend of mine. We did a lung transplant. Her lungs were filled with blood clots, and we couldn't, they were going to try, they had to drain the clots and drain the blood that was around her lungs. But it was too risky because she was on blood thinners, so she could die. So we did a healing. I did 2 healings on her, and I was just doing the healing, and my guide comes with a lung. And I was like, okay. So then they guided me on how to remove her lung energetically and bring in the new lung. And they taught me right on the spot how to do this. And we transmuted the whole other lung. And the next day, they took her to the ultrasound to make the puncture and to drain, and there was no blood. Wow. So it can be surgery. It can be surgery. It can be that specific.
That's amazing.
It was amazing. It was baffling. We were both baffling. What? The doctors were like, here's the ultrasound from yesterday. Here's the ultrasound from today. There was just a nighttime between this. What happened?
Wow. Well, here's a good question. And Oh, let me just say, thank you. That was very sweet. Sue Lotman, thank you very much. She gave me a nice compliment. Thank you. She said,
you deserve all nice compliments in
thank
the
you.
world.
And she said, so here's a good question from Gail Jean. She says, do you send out group energy for healing?
Oh, I don't know what you mean by do I send out? Like I don't have like a group that I usually send out, because one thing I work with group healings, for example. So I do, if the people are there, I do group healings, but it's very important to me, integrity wise, to never send out healing to somebody that doesn't even know that the healing is coming to them. So if I'm thinking of an area or people that, for example, had some calamity and they're suffering, I'll send healing energy to the area. And then the guides, the spiritual guides that are working in that area can take that energy and use it to the people that feel that they need it. But we should never send anything directly to somebody without their permission.
And why?
Very important. So it's super important because so here's the thing. Some people, for example, a basic example, some people are afraid of love because they've tried loving and they've been hurt, they've been abandoned, they've been beaten, they've been all that. So even if we're like, I'm going to send love to this person, which is the most healing and beautiful energy in the world, if it is somebody that's afraid of love, that is aggressive to them because they don't trust love.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So we never know people's history. So that's why we got to be very careful. So if we have an ill relative or friend, yes, let's send love and energy to the general area where they are and ask that their guides or the guides that are there can take that energy and use it accordingly.
Okay. Wow. Yes, that makes sense. That makes sense. Wow. That is just, let's see. Sue Lotman says, what if one of your guides is a doctor, but no healing comes?
What if what? I missed it.
If one of your guides is a doctor, but no healing comes.
No healing comes from this guide that's a doctor?
Yes. Well, I think that's,
Then I wonder if it's not the right time yet. Like for me, I have several different guides. My doctor guides are not usually here, but they show up when it's so it could be that it's
also, you had massive, how many surgeries did you have that time?
I had 13 surgeries last year.
Okay, so last year I had 3, she had 13. I mean, it was at the same time, if you remember the story, we're both going, I mean, it was just unbelievable. And the reason I'm bringing that up is you had, as a healer, you had to still take the time and heal.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It was unbelievable.
And as a healer, I needed healing from the outside. Because here's the thing. Healing, you can only help heal people that you can only get healing from people that are above you. When I was going through the surgery, the parts that were broken in my energy field, which was my foot, I didn't have a good foot there to heal that. So I needed other healers to help me with that. So when I was going through anesthesia and antibiotics 3 times a day and all of that for like 2 months, I needed other healers to help me. So we all need somebody else. That's why it's so important. I feel like healing work in some point on this planet, we're all going to be getting it constantly from each other. It would be like eating, drinking, exercising, healing work, because it's taking care of our energy systems. And we all have the capacity to help others because we are a little ahead than somebody else. And that person is a little ahead than somebody else. So we all
so true. I love that. It's so true. And when I was talking about Rahu and Ketu changing the nodes, which will change at the end of November, they're going, and it will be in Pisces, Virgo, and all of that is about healing. And there'll be many people during the next year and a half that will go into healing work.
Wow.
So it's up there with what you're saying. I think that the consciousness shifts and people will have that feeling, that nagging feeling that they have to do something with their life. What is it? And then it's a natural place to go to healing or helping others or healing. And I just feel that with this change in nodes, it's going to, because the world's going to need healing. The world,
Oh,
everybody's going to need it. And I love the way you describe that. And is there something that you can leave everybody with? Is there something tonight that you want to share with everybody to leave them with?
Yes. So another thing I've been thinking a lot about and trying to practice a lot. So what I've been noticing is the center of the heart is shifting. The center of the heart. So the essence, Kelly, that you were talking about before it used to be lower, like more like
yes,
like here in the solar plexus, and the essence is coming behind the heart. It's been doing this for some years. So we
the seat of the soul.
Exactly. We are transitioning to living through our hearts with our essence. It must happen. Enough of the mind, enough of the will.
Right.
We must. So if we all could leave here tonight with a kind of a commitment to try to connect with our hearts, look in the mirror. Somebody told me this the other day. Stand in front of the mirror, look into your eyes, you will see your essence, and then feel it into your hearts, and then go about your day like that. So if we can all do this and then eventually practice when we meet one another, I think this would be the most self-assuring and empowering thing that we can do, the deepest thing that we can do to help the world and to connect with each other. That is the practice of the future, I feel.
That is so beautiful. Oh my God, people are loving this conversation.
Good.
Nixon Ryder says it's been the best conversation I've had all day. Thank you, ladies. I love that. That's so sweet. Thank you, Vicki. Loved it. It's a very educational, beautiful show. Thank you, everybody. Ellie says, just magnificent. Oh, thank you, guys. I really, really appreciate it. And I do want to give a shout out to my dear friend, Larry K. And I want to say this. Your surgery date, Larry, is perfect for you, okay? It's an excellent day. And Prajna and I are both sending you lots of love, Larry, for your special surgery day, okay?
Yes,
there you go. Yes. Had to say that. All right. Bye, everybody. And join me next week for Ask Me Anything. And sign up to have a session with Prajna because she's incredible.
Thank you for joining us on Ask Me Anything. We hope our discussions with Kelly White and James Van Praagh have enriched your spiritual understanding and personal growth. From recognizing spiritual elements in children to understanding the subtle energies of crystals, each episode is a treasure trove of wisdom. Missed a live session on Facebook or YouTube? Don't worry. You can always find the latest episodes on your favorite podcast app. Remember, your queries form the heart of our show. So keep those questions coming for the next episode. Before we close, make sure you've subscribed to join us on this enlightening journey. Until next time, continue to question, explore, and grow. The universe is full of answers awaiting your curiosity.